Well, welcome in for another episode of the SPL Weekly Recap. I'm Finch.
I'm Dave.
And we're going to be talking about Worlds here today. That was awesome. So, we're starting off
Fantastic.
on a great note. So, since we're doing the Worlds Recap, the best week we have all year, let's just go ahead and get right into the action, shall we? The first couple of days of Pro League action featured our placement rounds with the SCC and SOC qualified teams, as well as the bottom 4 seeds of SPL teams. Now, the first matchup that graced our screens brought us Belt Slap, the EU SCC Juggernauts up against Renegades, the 4-seed SPL team, fresh off a great Phase 2 playoffs. A couple of trends we'd be set in this matchup. 3-0s and Apollo ADC. Beltslap put up a decent fight, but ultimately, there was a bit of a hill to climb between the tenure of Renegades and having to play from Europe. Barracuda and Lazarus both started off their SWC week with some good performances with the Renegades, and the Renegades move on to face the winner of our next matchup, Bay versus Sanguine. And I'll go ahead and talk about that right now. It actually raised some eyebrows, this matchup. Could Sanguine show up on the big stage? And can Obey make enough off-screen adaptations to make a competitive set against a team that consistently gave them trouble? Well, short answer, no, to the Obey question.
No,
Obey showed signs of life in this set, but ultimately Sanguine was just too consistent to overcome. The concerns of strictly meta play were still there for Sanguine, of course, but a 3-0 for the Vamos crew would start their worlds off right. And to the other side of the bracket, we now go, and Mind the Gap from the NASOC takes on the Juggernauts of Space Station Gaming. While there's some competition here, not much would be left to the imagination after the first couple of games. Space Station Gaming are one of the best teams in the whole world, and an onslaught of consistent team fighting would propel them over Mind the Gap. Yes, you guessed it, 3-0. So with that, all SPL teams have moved on, and 2 more, Knights and E-United, are fighting for the last spot in the next round. That was most likely the most anticipated matchup of the first couple of days, and it totally disappointed. E-United showed up, brought out some fun picks, but just couldn't resist with the Knights and their draft, or couldn't contest with the Knights and their draft strategy. Giannis was just not enough in this one, even though Herwin played really well. 3-0, and the Knights move on, and we'll also move on to Dave for the quarters.
Yeah, on over to me. Thanks, Finch. It's quarterfinals time now that the placement stages are finally over. The first set was a big one to start off with as well, with Sanguine needing to live up to some of their confident tweets, is one way to put it. Renegades, meanwhile, had struggled all year, but seemed to be clicking coming into this event. That newfound synergy would do them well in this set as they took down Sanguine 3-0. They've gone in. Barracuda's swinging from the back line. Scarab's blessing over on the net. Look at the Titan. Is Barra gonna do it again? Double kill from the Renegades. Sanguine left running.
I can't believe it, Dave. Renegades hang on by a thread, and now they're in a position where they can look to end the game in return.
Barra's Apollo and Lasbara's pressure picks like Rat and Set proved too much for the Sanguine boys, whose excellent season had to end there. Sprinkle in some Venenu heroics, and Sanguine couldn't hold on. And the upper semi was set. Ghost versus the runaway train that was Jake and the Renegades boys. The second set of the quarter, Space Station versus the Knights, was even more exciting as both teams put it all on the line. This set could have easily been a final at a different time, a parallel universe where Hera and I have a nice cottage and we're away from all of life's troubles. Where am I? Oh, yeah, there it is. Also, Coke continued making Vault in this timeline. Do you guys remember Vault? Anyway, God, let me here are the set specifics. Here's what happened in this set. In this current timeline, this set seems to go as it's meant to. Based on seeding, as Space Station jumps out to an early lead. They play their classic SSG game of farming patiently through the early game and then flipping the switch to start running away with it mid to late. Then suddenly, Paul stops locking in beta healers and instead picks Chad Scylla. Zapman pulls out the Zardomus, and suddenly this set changes. Paul dominates, and you spaced it out, so DOMINATES in case we need to learn how to spell that throughout the next couple of games, and PK's resilience proves to outlast that of SSG. Once PK started to grab back the momentum, it felt like the set slowly ran through SSG's fingers. Then it's time for PK to move on and face Radiance in the lower semis.
Yeah, just like that, Dave, we're on to the semifinals. Ghost Gaming versus the Resurgent Renegades, and on the other side of the bracket, the Wonder Kids and PK would face off against Radiance. The first of the 2 matchups, Ghost versus Renegades, was potentially interesting, but some of that interest would be lost almost immediately into game number 1, as the Ghost dual lane set up a fantastic set of kills onto the Renegades, who seemed hell-bent on fighting all over the map for the next minute or so. By the time the dust settled, we were 8 minutes in, and Ghost was nearing a 10k gold lead.
It was over.
Yeah, it's a lot. Dave had a wonderful time trying to sow some kind of intrigue into the final moments of the game.
I failed.
However, this one was far too gone.
The tower, Jake is here as well. Final K ults away from all the CC. Will he stay alive under the damage? Final K turn collapse. Ghost Gaming get 2.
Unfortunately for Renegade fans and fans of just good Smite, the set came to a close with another convincing victory for Ghost, pushing us on to our second semifinal. Knights versus Radiance suddenly got a whole lot more interesting after the Knights' reverse sweep over Space Station the night prior. By the end of this one, everyone will be wondering what ancient deity the Knights sacrificed to in order to keep their hopes alive. Early on, this set is very close, quickly back and forth. The dual lane for Radiance looks good, and Big Man Tings is playing consistently. After Radiance wins a couple to go up 2-1, the concern is that the Knights can't do it again. Oh, but they can. Paul and Cubo have a disgusting final series of games, as well as some of the best shot calling we have seen in competitive Smite history, and the Knights do it again. To look for some more shred, Big Man Tings has fallen a roar right behind him as that man gets another scary D, shreds through Cyclone Spin, and Radiance right on the precipice seem to have fallen at the last minute.
That's right, Finch. On the final day of Worlds, we crown four different champions, starting with Joust, the Community Joust Cup, which started off with hundreds of teams. I think, 600 teams is what we initially had finally been whittled down to just 2. The Oceans-led In Our Zen versus Worst Turtles OK Chat. This is an absolute brawl of a game going over 30 minutes. That's pretty long for Joust. With $9,000 on the line, though, Kirmi, Oceans, and the boys, the one poor guy that we left out, stepped up with their Let Scylla Win the Game comp and defeated OK Chat in a close battle. Then we had the Avgl Finals, a best of 3 between Georgia State and Arizona State. Georgia State were the defending champs, but that did not seem to deter Arizona State, who won a decisive 2-0 victory on the back of play from Stashed Master and CPEP. Sorry, these names are awful. Congrats, though. Then we had our Conquest Creator Cup for charity on the Season 8 map. Team Weaken, stacked by the way, versus Team Wraithen. Leon put in a valiant effort on Team Wraithen, helped by our very own Dalton Schultz. But Weaken, Mizkif, Double J, and the boys were too strong and won it all for Make-A-Wish. All in the name of charity. We love that. Then we made it to what we'd all been waiting for all year long. It was time to crown a new Smite champion between Ghost, who'd been the best team all year, not much contest there, and PK with the Game 5 Miracles. In this set, however, it was PK who were forced to go to Game 5 despite how well Paul played on Scylla and how masterfully Neil directed the team. Poor Bear Mike put in an all-time performance, but it could not overwhelm PK, who seemed to elevate to an entirely different level to take down Ghost and become your Season 7 Smite World Champions.
Fire Giant still there, and Scary D pushing forward. Fire Giant sees Forgotten. Zatman moves in, looking for it, but Fino K is there. I think Zaz making an error, but Kufo Fred getting one in the back. Paul gets a double, and Pittsburgh Knights in a great position to end.
I think they done it, Finch. I think they did it.
Triple.
Fino K left alive.
The Knights looking to push into the Titan, and Fino K has it all to do.
He's got no ultimate available. Paul with the transformation. The Pittsburgh Knights are going back to back.
That is it! Pittsburgh Knights, lightning strikes twice, and Ghosts are going home!
And with that, Season 7 comes to a close, and that'll be the final time Finch and I write scripts for one another and read them for one another. I'll read them for myself. So whatever it is, that's the end of Smite here in Season 7. Cannot wait to see what Season 8 has in store. We'll see y'all there.
I did some kind of weird...
Gah!